And now we will study the whole new chapter of immunity. Okay. This chapter of immunity will be covered in your microbiology lectures, and we will cover it here in our pathology lectures. So it is such an important topic from your university perspective and from any other exam point of perspective. So you need to understand this chapter into very much of depth. Now let's start. So what is immunity? I guess we all have read about immunity when we were in class 9th or when we were in class 12th, right? So immunity is nothing but the ability of the body to fight against the organism. To fight against the organism, right? Any foreign organism, if it enters our body, then our immunity gets activated, right? Immunity is of two types. Tell me, what are the two types? We have studied about something called as an innate immunity and something called as an acquired immunity. Now I'll give you an example of how you will differentiate both of them. Like some of you may have got some inborn talent. Okay, not some of you, we have got an inborn talent, all of us, right? Some of you may be a very good singer, some of you may be a very great dancers. They are our inherited talents. Simultaneously, if we acquire certain skills throughout our life, like if I started going to a dance class, some of you may join a singing class. Okay, so this particular skill, you acquired that throughout your life. So that is nothing but the acquired immunity. It's just an example which I was trying to tell you. Okay, so let's look at the definition. And one more thing, if this question is asked as a short note, or if it is asked as a long note, then I will tell you what are the points that you need to write in your university exams, because it's very important for you to remember what you need to write in your exams also. Okay, so innate immunity is nothing but a natural or non-specific immunity. It is nothing but the natural or your non-specific immunity. It is the first line defense that protects our body against the infection. It is the first line defense that protects our body against the infection. Like I'll give you an example. The example is of breast milk, right? Breast milk. It is the first protective thing against the immunity that we acquire in our life, right? And exclusive breastfeeding is done till 6 weeks, right? So you need to remember this also. So innate immunity is present from your birth, right? The inherited inborn talents that we have. Now, innate immunity does not require any prior exposure, because acquired immunity requires a prior exposure. But innate immunity does not require a prior exposure. It acts immediately after encountering an antigen. Okay, so if this is the antigen, let's say, okay, this is your antigen. If it is entering the body, then what our immune system will do? The innate immunity will get active. Okay, and the innate immunity also does not involve any memory cells, right? And they cannot provide a long lasting protection. There is no long lasting protection. Whereas if I tell you about the acquired immunity, then there is long lasting protection that is we are able to see, but not in the innate immunity. Okay, so this was the definition. If this comes as a short note, then what are the things you need to highlight? The key features are that it is present from birth, it is non-specific response, and it is immediate response. So I have given you some boxes in the middle of the lectures also, so that you one day before your university exams, you just go through these boxes. Okay, so they basically covers the keywords that you need to highlight in your exams. Now, coming to the components of innate immunity. What are the components of innate immunity? The first one is the physical and the mechanical barrier. First one is the physical and the mechanical barrier. So in this, first thing we have our skin. So skin is basically a very tough physical barrier, right? It protects you from the weathers like rainy season, winter, summers. Your skin is so rough and tough that it protects you from each and everything, right? So the sebaceous gland produce fatty acids that inhibit the microbial growth. If there is any sort of microbes that are growing, the sebaceous glands will inhibit the fatty acid production. Okay. Then you have the mucous membrane. So mucous membrane is basically present in your respiratory tract, gastrointestinal tract, and the genitourinary tract. Okay. So what it do, I'll show you with the help of an example. Not an example, I'll draw a diagram for you all. Although my drawing is not that good. Like suppose this is your the layer of your GIT. You have some cilia, right? This cilia. Okay. So what the cilia do is whenever some microbes try to come there, this cilia traps the microbe. It basically makes a plan that how it can trap the microbes, and finally it traps the microbes. Okay. Next thing that you have in the physical and mechanical barrier is the tears and your saliva. So your tears basically contains the lysozyme that breaks the bacterial cell wall. Okay. Like, wait. This is the bacteria, this is the bacterial cell wall, this is the bacteria. This is your bacterial cell wall. So we have something called as the lysozyme. This lysozyme, what it do? It breaks the bacterial cell wall. It breaks the bacterial cell wall. Okay. So this was about the physical and the mechanical barrier. Next you have is the chemical barriers, the chemical barriers. In the chemical barriers, you have 5 types. The pH, enzymes, antimicrobial peptides, complement proteins, and the cellular components. Okay. So in the pH, that is the percentage of hydrogen. As you all know, the stomach pH is acidic, so it is 1 to 2%, and it destroys the microbes. It destroys the microbes that enters your stomach, right? So skin is also slightly acidic, and urine is acidic and flushes out the pathogen. So that is why it is advised. To drink plenty of water. Why? Because the pathogens that are there in your body gets flushed. The pathogens that are there in your body gets flushed out from your body. Okay. Next thing that you have is about the enzymes. So you have the lysozymes, as I told you, they are present in your tears, they are present in your saliva, and also you have the neutrophils. Now, I guess we have read about the neutrophils earlier as well. Okay. You have to tell me that what are neutrophils, and they are the most abundant or the most common cells of which of the following cells? Is it RBC or is it WBC? Okay. So this you have to tell me. So this enzyme basically digests the microbial walls. Next we have the antimicrobial peptides. They are nothing but your defensins, and they disrupt the bacterial membrane. Then you have the complement protein. In the complement protein, they basically circulate in the inactive form and destroys the pathogen when it is activated. When the pathogen gets activated, they destroys their membrane, the cellular membrane. It gets destroyed. Okay. So let's talk about the cellular component. In the cellular components, you need to remember the 2 things. You have the phagocytes and you have the natural killer cells. Okay. So the phagocyte, what they do is they basically ingest and destroys the microorganisms. Okay. And I guess you have read in your class 9th also that phagocytosis is the process of engulfing an organism, right? With the help of something called as a 𝗲𝗹𝗵𝗺s, right? Okay. So in the phagocytes, you have neutrophils, macrophages, dendritic cells, and the mast cells. Okay. So what are neutrophils? Neutrophils are the first responders. Neutrophils are the first responder. They perform the process of phagocytosis, and I have written here also, it is the process of engulfment of cells. They releases enzymes and reactivated the oxygen species, right? Second, you have the macrophages. In macrophages, remember about the monocyte, they engulf the pathogen and they present antigen. Okay. Then you have the dendritic cells. In the dendritic cells, remember that they are the antigen presenting cells. In the dendritic cells, remember that they are the antigen presenting cells. Okay. They act as a bridge between the innate and the adaptive immunity. They act as a bridge between the innate and the adaptive immunity. Okay. Just like your mother acts as a bridge between your father and you. And as a result of which, what happens? Whatever the plan that you are making, it just gets flopped, right? But here in the dendritic cells, it is a good, it acts as a good bridging system between the innate and the adaptive immunity. I'm so sorry, guys. It's just an example, so don't take into your heart. Okay. So next you have the mast cells. So mast cells basically releases histamine. If someone asks you that what is mast cell, even not the definition, the first thing that should come to your mind is about the histamine. It is that much of important. It is given that much of importance in the mast cell life, right? Just like you have given some importance to someone in your life, just like this, the mast cell has also given the importance to histamine. Okay. So mast cells basically releases the histamine in the allergies and the inflammatory condition. Okay. And I'll tell you that allergy is what type of hypersensitivity reaction. Next you have is about the natural killer cells. Just like some of you may be having a very naturally killing personality, they don't require any filter, they don't require any foundation or any makeup, right? Just like that, this cell also has a very naturally killing personality. And what it does is, it kills the viruses and infect the cells and tumor cells. And it does not require any antigen presentation. It induces the process of apoptosis. And you have to tell me, guys, what is apoptosis and what is the CD marker? And what is the CD marker of apoptosis? I'm not telling you. This is your active recall. You have to tell me that what is the CD marker of apoptosis, and we have read in our first chapter, right? So next thing that you have is the soluble component. In the soluble component, the first one you have is the complement system. So complement system are nothing but a group of plasma proteins that activated cascade. What is the function? The function is of opsonization, chemotaxis, and the lysis of microbes. So, what is lysis? Lysis is basically the process of breakdown, right? And what is opsonization? Opsonization. What is opsonization? We have read in our journal Pathology also that when we were making instant noodles, some of you may put the taste maker, but some of you may not prefer to put a taste maker, right? It's their own individual choice, and everyone has the right to do whatever they want to do, right? So opsonization is not a necessary process. It's not a necessary process, and it is a process of making the bacteria tasty. Okay, but it's their personal choice. Everyone has the right to make a choice in their life, right? Next, you have certain pathways. First one is the classical pathway, then the alternative pathway, and the lectin pathway. We will study the mechanism or the whole flow chart of this pathway when we move forward in this chapter. Okay. Next you have is the cytokines. Okay. So cytokines are nothing but small proteins that regulate the immune response. Okay. The types that you have is the interleukins, interferons, and the tumor necrosis factors. That is nothing but your TNF. Interleukins coordinate between the WBCs. Interferons, they are of antiviral activity. And you have read this in your pharmacology lectures as well. The antiviral drugs. Okay. The tumor necrosis factor, the TNF. Okay, tell me guys. I guess and I believe that we have read about the TNF. So tell me TNF alpha is for what? Okay, this tumor necrosis factor, basically it promotes the process of inflammation. And the next question that I will be asking you, what are the signs of inflammation? You have rubor, then you have calor, then tell me, okay, that you have to tell me rubor, dollar, calor, tumor, and tell me in the comment section. Okay. Next that you have is the acute phase proteins. So acute phase proteins are synthesized by the liver during the process of inflammation. These proteins are synthesized during the process of inflammation. Examples are your C-reactive protein, serum amyloid, and the fibrinogen. Now I will explain you that if suppose you have got an infection in your blood or in your body, so what it will, your C-reactive protein will increase. And if your C-reactive protein is increased in your blood test report, then it is suggestive that something is wrong that is going on in your body and you need to take proper medicine and you need to take proper treatment for whatever the things that are going wrong inside your body. Okay. Next you have is about the inflammatory response. So inflammatory response, you have certain steps, and if it will be asked as a very short note like a 2-mark of question, then these steps are very important and you need to write them. First one is the recognition, right? Okay, whenever someone comes to your house, do you just open the door and say, oh, just come and sit? You first recognize that person, right? If it is a familiar face, then you will ask that person that please come and sit, and then you will offer a cup of tea. But if it is not a familiar person, then you will not say that come and sit, and you will offer him coffee or tea, whatever, right? So first thing is the pattern of recognition. The pathogen or the damaged cells triggers the immune response and say that something has entered inside the body. Then there is the process of inflammation in which the blood flow rate will increase. Third one is there is increase in the permeability, as a result of which there will be a swelling, and the signs are very, very much visible that your body is having swelling, right? Okay, if we are talking about swelling, let's just clinically correlate it and tell me about the edema and the stages of edema. Tell me about the stages of edema. Or not the stages, sorry, tell me about the grades of edema. Tell me about the grades of edema, the grades of pitting edema, okay? And if you don't know about edema, then you have to attend your clinical postings of medicines, right? Next, coming back to the step. Fourth one is the recruitment of leukocytes. Then is the process of phagocytosis, that is the process of engulfing begins. And finally, they want to sort out things. So they say, let's just resolve all the things and let's make a happy ending, right? So now I'll explain you about the mechanism of innate immunity. And I have made a mnemonic for you all that you need to remember this mnemonic. The mnemonic is, please really activate immune proteins carefully, now recovering. Okay. You will just need 1 to 2 minutes to remember this mnemonic. But trust me, at the end, it will just help you in flipping through the pages, right? First one we have talked, the pathogen enters the body. Then you recognize that person. There is a recognition by the pattern recognition receptors. Then you activate the immune cells. Inflammatory response is there, as a result of which there will be vasodilation, increased permeability, and the pain signal. The pain pathway will get activated. Then there is the process of phagocytosis that will begin. And the neutrophils and the macrophages engulfs the pathogen. They forms the phagosomes. Then there is opsonization, chemotaxis, and lysis. And we have read about this in detail, so I am not discussing it in more, right? Then there is the action of naturally killing cells. Finally, we want a conclusion. We want a resolution. We don't want to fight more. So the cell decided to set. Okay. So there is the process of resolution. That is, the dead cells gets cleared and there is anti-inflammatory signals which is released and the tissue repair will begin. Okay. See, I don't want to give an example. It's a very bad example, so we'll just leave it. Okay. Next thing that you have is of the clinical relevance. Because if you are in your first or second prof, in your third or fourth prof, you will study everything clinical. But in your first or second prof, where you are studying the non-clinical subjects, you have that urge from inside, you know, that you want to be a clinician and you want to know each and everything clinical about that. But when you reach in your third and fourth prof, this becomes very hectic, right? So let's just understand what is the clinical relevance, and if it is asked as a long note, then at the end of the explaining each and everything, just write about the clinical relevance. The clinical relevance is that if there is a defect in the innate immunity, then it is a sign that your body is having some recurrent infection. If there is a defect in the innate immunity, then it says that your body is having certain kind of recurrent infection. What is recurrent infection? Recurrent infections are the infections which keeps on recovering, not which keeps on repeating, right? Like on day 1 you had fever, then you got recover from it, then on day 10 you have fever, then you get recovered from it, and simultaneously this process keeps on going on. Next, if there is excessive activation of the innate system, then there is certain kind of allergies or the autoimmune disease. Then you have the complement deficiency. In complement deficiency, there is increased susceptibility to the infection. Fourth one you have is the chronic inflammation. If there is chronic inflammation, that can be seen in the case of atherosclerosis and cancer. Now tell me, chronic inflammation, right? What is the duration of chronic inflammation? On the basis of duration, you divide the inflammation into two types. If it is more than 6 weeks or if it is less than 6 weeks. So, if it is more than 6 weeks, you call it as a chronic inflammation. You call it as a chronic inflammation. And if it is less than 6 weeks, you call it as a acute inflammation. You call it as a acute inflammation, right? What is atherosclerosis? Atherosclerosis is nothing but, see, these are your blood vessels, right? These are your blood vessels. And what we do? We eat a lot of junk. Every Friday or every Saturday or Sunday, let's say, you plan to go out on a trip, right? And there you eat pizza, burger, and carbonated drinks. So, your body starts to produce cholesterol in a very high amount. Your body starts producing cholesterol at a very high amount, and as a result of which the cholesterol gets accumulated in your blood vessels. And now see, whenever the blood flows through this blood vessel, it is getting narrow. It is getting a very little pathway, right? Just like on road, when we have a one way and there is a whole lot of traffic that is coming, it becomes very difficult to manage. So this is also like a one way. So it's very difficult for the blood to go through this narrow stream. So that is why it is advised to eat healthy and stay active. Don't live a lethargy life. This was all about the innate immunity. Let's just, I have made a summary table for you. So in the summary, what you need to remember that innate immunity is the body's first and the fastest mechanism, and it includes the physical, chemical and cellular barrier, and we have read about that in details. Then you have, it is non-specific and it lacks memory. The mnemonic that we have read is, please really activate immune proteins carefully, now recovering. Okay, so this was all about the innate immunity. See, if it is asked as a short note now, just write this definition. Then about the components, just write the headings. Just write the headings. And what else you can write? The steps of inflammatory response, and explain about a little bit about the mechanism of. Okay, so this was all about the innate immunity. And also, yes, we are clinicians, so we need to know the clinical relevance. And trust me guys, if you will write the clinical relevance now, you will get 1 extra marks for sure. So I have 2 questions for you all, although the answers are very much visible. Which of the following substance is released? Which of the following substance is released by the mast cells? So I have told you that whenever someone asks you about the mast cells, the very first thing is not the definition that should come to your mind, is the histamine that should come to your mind. And also guys, I want to tell you something that I forgot to tell you about the key features, that neutrophils, if it is asked, you need to remember they are the first responders. Macrophages, they are the monocytes. Dendritic cells, antigen presenting cells, and mast cells is histamine. And neutrophils are present in your WBC. I have given you the answer to that question which I asked you in the beginning. Okay, so remember. Next question that you have is, which of the following is not a component of innate immunity? Skin, it is a component. It is a very tough. It is a tough and physical barrier. It is a tough and physical barrier. It protects you from all the weathers that you face, like rainy, summer, and whatever weathers you have. Next is your mucous membrane. Mucous membrane you have around your stomach as well. That protects you from the acid, right? Antibodies. Did we talk about the antibodies in the innate immunity? No. The antibodies are not a component of your innate immunity. Okay, so I have made the tables, the cute little small boxes that you need to remember, and you can just read these boxes one day prior to your exams. Okay, so I guess this is all about the innate immunity that you need to keep in mind. Next, we will study about the acquired immunity. Okay, next we will study about the acquired immunity.